Hello, everybody. I hope you're having an amazing day today. So today, there's so much going on. It's two things. It's Valentine's Day and it's Ash Wednesday. So people are giving up something for Lent. I didn't grow up celebrating Lent, but I think it's such a cool thing. And so I thought about, what could I give up for Lent? And I have a great idea and I want to share it with you because this kind of hits two things. It hits loving yourself on Valentine's Day, but it also hits giving up something that really doesn't serve you. So it kind of does both. So I want to share this with you. The thing that I'm going to suggest giving up for Lent in order to love yourself on Valentine's Day is limiting beliefs. And that's what I want to share with you about. And I've got a lot here. I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as I can, but I am going to read some of it because it's just too much to keep in my brain. I want to say hi to Kenny Brown. Nice to have you watching, Kenny. So this is a 6-part thing, okay? I'm going to go through 7 limiting beliefs that so many of us carry around, and you'll probably recognize yourself in one or more of these, or maybe you'll recognize one or more of these in someone that you know. Sometimes that's even easier. But anyway, here's the first limiting belief that we can give up in order to love ourselves and give up something for Lent. Hey, Kenny. The first one is lack of personal responsibility. So when we have a lack of personal responsibility, it's a limiting belief because we believe that everything that happens in our lives it's not our fault. It's all circumstantial, or it's somebody else's fault, or I was abused, or I went through an economic downturn, or whatever it is. And it doesn't mean that sometimes there isn't truth to that. But we lack taking any personal responsibility for it or looking at how we could have changed the circumstance. Circumstances are what they are. It's how we respond to them that really matters in life and what we learn from our failures and mistakes or bad circumstances that we go through. So limiting beliefs. Circumstances can do anything they want on the outside, but they can't change how you think about it. And that's something that Viktor Frankl said after he was in a concentration camp. So lack of personal responsibility is one limiting belief. Hey, Jonathan, nice to have you, buddy. The second limiting belief that so many of us deal with is pessimism. A lot of people that are pessimistic like to call themselves realists. And I have totally been guilty of this in my life. It's just not possible for anyone to do it. It's not that I can't do it, but nobody can. So these people will sometimes miss opportunities because they never see the opportunity for what it is because they're looking at it through a very pessimistic lens. So that's a limiting belief that can really get in our way of achieving what we want in life. The third limiting belief, there's 7 of them, the third one is lack of belief in ourselves, okay? So there's no point in me even trying because I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, and doggone it, nobody likes me. So we don't even try because we don't believe in ourselves. These folks see opportunity, they might want to jump on opportunity, but they stop themselves because they just don't think it's possible for them. So that's the third limiting belief we can give up this Lent in order to love ourselves on Valentine's Day. The fourth one is lack of belief in one's ability. So a little bit different than believing in yourself. It's lack of belief in one's ability. I don't have the skills. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't have the right network. I don't have the right parents. I don't have the right spouse. I don't have the right education or the right training or the right experiences. It's a lack of belief in one's ability. So these people might start something. They might kind of go down the trail. They might start a diet or they might start a business. They might start something. But as soon as they hit obstacles, their fears appear. It shows up right in the, see, I don't have the ability to do this. I knew it. It confirms it for them and they quit. So that's a fourth limiting belief. The fifth limiting belief is lack of self-worth. No one's going to like me. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. At the first sting of rejection or disapproval, these people will just cut loose and move on because they're not confident in themselves. They don't believe that they themselves are valuable and that they have value to bring. So they see themselves through a very, very negative lens. The sixth limiting belief is lack of vision. So these folks are constantly looking backwards. They're looking in the past. They're always looking at what was. So for example, they look at what could have been. If you've seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite, Uncle Rico, that's his name, Uncle Rico, who's always talking about like, oh, if he just would have made that pass or made that touchdown or whatever it was he was trying to make. He's living totally in the past. He has no vision for the future at all. And so he gets stuck. He gets stuck there and he's just like living in a trailer and can't get himself together. Lack of vision is a real limiting belief that we deal with. The seventh and final limiting belief is lack of resources. We believe that we lack resources. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough connections. I don't have enough tools. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough education. Tony Robbins says this great thing. He says, people don't lack resources, they lack resourcefulness. And I love that because we really are resourceful. It's how we're wired. And if we really dig into our brains or maybe talking with other people who might know something we don't know, we can get real resourceful real quick when the need is really there. So when we're not resourceful though, we stay stuck and we never get out of the ideas and the things that keep us from achieving the kind of life that we really want. So what happens is when we have these seven limiting beliefs, there's 5 psychological patterns that kick in that exacerbate this whole thing, okay? So the first one is confirmation bias. So we look at circumstances through lenses that confirm our beliefs. I'll never find love. There's no one out there for me. One person could think, for example, that when it's raining, it's a great thing, but another person might think that when it's raining, it's terrible. You look at things through different lenses, and those lenses confirm what you already believe. 2 people can see a rose bush, but if one person believes that roses, they might be kind of pretty, but they're really painful because you get stuck by a thorn, they're going to look at the rose bush and they're going to see the thorns. Another person who looks at rose bushes and thinks that they're beautiful is not going to see the thorns. They're going to see the beautiful blossoming roses on that bush. So confirmation bias can kick in and we only see the things that confirm what we already believe. The second thing is filtering happens. The second psychological pattern, filtering. We ignore any data that conflicts with our own beliefs and we only pay attention to the data that supports our beliefs. How many of us have seen this on social media a million times as it relates to politics? People posting articles about whatever it is they think is true, and then everyone from the other side is like, oh, that's fake news. And then they post their own article, and then it's like an article war in the thread. Like, oh, did you see this article? Did you see that? Stop. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anything, and it certainly doesn't help you. When we just filter out all the things that conflict with what we already believe, we can miss so many good and real things. So that's not a useful psychological pattern for us either. The third one is recalling with selective memory. We look back on the times in our lives where maybe we failed at that thing we wanted. Maybe it's a diet. Oh, I really wanted to lose weight, but I tried going paleo, that didn't work. I tried the Atkins diet, that didn't work. I tried working out 5 days a week, that didn't work. I tried, and they go down the list of all the things they tried that didn't work. When in reality, there were certain things that happened that were working, but they choose not to recall those or focus on those. So their recall and what they're remembering is very selective and only includes that which again confirms what they already believe. I think this is a funny name. Grooving is number 4. So that's where people kind of start to get out of some of these patterns and maybe start to make changes. But as soon as they hit stress, the core beliefs and those core patterns start kicking in again. Those limiting beliefs kick in again. And this happens sometimes. You might see this with somebody who's dealt with an addiction, alcohol or drugs. They're kind of cleaning things up. They're getting sober. Life is kind of going in a better direction for them. And then they hit a stressful time. And what happens? They don't have the coping skills. They haven't developed them yet. And so they turn right back to the alcohol or the drugs to escape. And they get right back into that groove or that pattern. The 5th psychological pattern, this is the last one that people get stuck in, is identity. This one, I see this a lot. This is where somebody has gotten so wrapped up in whatever it is that they're unhappy with in their lives that it becomes part of their identity. And to the point where they wouldn't want to give it up. They don't know this. It's like a subconscious thing. They don't want to give it up because then it means that they're giving up their identity, which is a very scary thing to have to give up. I see this happen a lot with people who have illnesses or ailments like arthritis or other types of discomfort. They get so caught up in talking about it, it becomes their whole focal point in life, their whole identity. And then when things come along that could actually be benefits to them, that could actually help fix that for them, they back off. They don't actually want to fix the problem, because if they did, they'd have to lose their whole identity. And what they really are associating there is that it's more painful for me to have to give up who I believe I am and the things that I associate with than it is for me to get rid of this ailment that's bothering me. So we get so entrenched in whatever it is that we're not happy with in our lives, it becomes part of our identity and therefore our certainty. So there's the 7 limiting beliefs and the 5 psychological patterns that we get stuck in that exacerbate those limiting beliefs. Let's move on to the good stuff now. You ready for that? Give me a heck yeah if we're ready for the good stuff, how we fix it. And I want to say hello again to RG and also to Jonathan and Kenny. Thanks for joining, y'all. So how do we fix these limiting beliefs? Well, we obviously have to do some work in our brains. So I'm going to give you 6 steps to help get rid of these limiting beliefs and replace them with things that are actually going to serve you. So first and foremost, the thing you got to do is you've got to be really honest with yourself and identify which aspects of your life you actually really want to improve. And I really mean that, not just like, oh, I really wish I could lose weight, or oh, I really wish I could make more money, but then you're not going to do anything about it. What do you really want to improve? What are you really willing to improve? Identify those first. So maybe it's I want to be healthier. I want to have more income in order to travel and invest and save for retirement. I want to get closer to God. I want to find a spouse. Whatever it is, identify it. The second step is you have to remove the negative or limiting belief that stands in the way of the things that you want. So you have to know what those beliefs are. So, one thing that's an example is, okay, I'm going to stop believing that I'm big boned. I've been walking around saying that I'm big boned forever, and that's why I can't lose the weight. I'm going to stop believing that I'm big boned and that really I could totally be svelte if I wanted to. I am going to stop believing that all the good ones are taken. Every time I go on Plenty of Fish or one of those other sites and I'm swiping and doing whatever, and all the people I meet are terrible, I'm going to stop believing that all the good ones are taken and that I can't find anybody. Because, hey, that may not be true. It may be a limiting belief. I'm going to stop believing that public speaking is scary. I'm going to stop believing that I don't have the skills. I'm going to stop believing I don't have the experience. I'm going to stop believing I'm not smart enough. Figure it out, what it is, and remove it. Now, if you remove something, and hello, Debbie Steinkoenig and Caprice, nice to see you gals. Once you remove that negative belief, you got to replace it with something positive, or that space is going to get filled with something negative again. So you got to replace the old belief with a positive new one that's going to actually serve your goals and feed that. So what do you need to believe then in order to accomplish what you want? So here are some examples. I can be disciplined to give my body what it needs to be healthy. I can easily schedule in 15 minutes a day to pray, to read the Bible, to get closer to my Creator. I can believe that the right person is out there for me and will come into my life at the right time. I can believe that public speaking is no different than just talking to some friends on Facebook. Hello, y'all. I can believe that I'm smart and discerning enough to find a new job or other ways to bring in new money. You have to figure out what is the positive reinforcing belief that you're going to put in that space where you just pulled out the old limiting belief. The fourth thing that you want to do is then immerse yourself. Immerse yourself in good things, in good associations, and in good thoughts and affirmations that are going to feed what it is you want in order to improve your positive belief system. Pour water in the well. That's a better way to say it. It's much faster. One of the ways to do that is in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the day, or if you happen to have a commute to work, you can do this in the car. You can read books or listen to audiobooks with inspiring information. Okay, you can increase and improve your associations. You can surround yourself with people who are more like what you want to be or have more of a lifestyle like what you want to have. Surround yourself with people who are going to be good role models for you, and remove yourself from the people who bring you down. Get yourself immersed. So listen to stuff in the car or whatever it is that you need to do for you, but get yourself immersed. Number 5, ask better questions. I remember being at Tony Robbins and he talked about this. Like if you ask stupid questions, you're going to get stupid answers. So ask better questions. Use the resourcefulness in your brain to ask questions. They're going to serve you. So instead of asking something like, why does this always happen to me? Which then, what's going to be the answer to that? Well, it's because I'm not good enough. Well, it's because I have no ability to discern a good guy versus a not so good guy, and I go out with all these jerks. Well, and you're going to answer probably with something very negative. But if you ask a better question like this, you might have a better outcome. What pattern or behavior can I change in order to keep this from happening again? That's a better question. You might get a better answer out of that. Something that's useful and something that you can actually put to work and into practice in order to improve your circumstance. Also, don't ask yes/no questions. If you ask a question like, can I lose weight? Well, your old experiences and your selective memory might tell you no. But in reality, can you? Of course you can. So you don't want to ask yes/no questions. You want to ask questions that are going to bring about answers and ideas and steps that you can take in order to get to where you want to go. If you ask your brain a question, I thought this was really interesting. Your brain is wired to not be able to not answer a question. So in other words, if you ask your brain a question, your brain's going to give you an answer. So ask a good question. Ask a question that's going to serve you. Ask a question like, if I were to lose weight, how would I do it? If I were to make more money, if I were to have more money to travel and to invest and to put into retirement, how would I go about doing that? These are good questions to ask. And the sixth and final step of this is to act. Now you've got good answers to great questions. You've got your steps in place. These things can begin to guide you toward the life you want. So you have to remember, many of the things on this list are going to scare the daylights out of you. And that means you've got to do them. That which scares you most is that which you must accomplish. And by the way, do the things you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain. I love that. If you start to do the things that you fear, that you've been avoiding, procrastinating about, and you start to do them, the fears that you had that got in the way of that are going to start to dissipate, and you're going to realize they were all in your mind anyway. So beautiful and so cool. And courage. Have courage, guys. Courage is the feeling of fear, but you do it anyway. You do it despite that feeling of fear. That's what courage is. I'll tell you what, this morning, well, let me back up. 2 weeks ago, I went to a body pump class for the first time, which is like, you're lifting weights and stuff with the bar and everything. I thought I was going to die for about a week after that class. I could hardly go up and down stairs. I realized just how much more I need to start exercising those parts of my body. So today the class was going to happen again, and I almost talked myself out of going. And I remembered that quote, that which you fear you must do. And I said, I've got to go. And I did. I went to that class and I was so proud of myself for going. I'm sure I'm going to be terribly sore tomorrow. But that's what we have to do, guys. We have to act on the things that we know are going to serve us. So just a couple of final thoughts here. These are all the things that are going to help you train your brain to give you what you want, to work with you, to work for you, and not against you. Your brain is your friend. You just have to get it working for you. Recognize also that along the way, you're going to stumble. Things are not going to be perfect. You are going to want to fall back into some patterns. Don't let yourself do that. Keep going. Keep moving forward. Don't quit. Don't stop. Don't give up. You can do it. And I hope this is helpful, guys. If you know somebody who might benefit from this, please go ahead and share this video. It's completely public and shareable. You can find more videos like this with #GoodnessGallery. I appreciate you joining me today. Happy Valentine's Day. Have a great time giving these gnarly things up for Lent, and I will look forward to seeing you soon.